Hey Astro Loves. So I'm coming to you with a video today about the coronavirus and the correlations to astrology. So the reason why I'm doing this video is because I have been kind of obsessed with this coronavirus, primarily because, I have an infant, and so I'm just kind of like, do I even want to take her out? Should I keep all of us in the house? So I needed to really know the facts because personally it doesn't really take, I have a crazy mind basically. And so it can go from one place to the extreme opposite place, like a deep dark place, I feel like. So it's really good for me to look at the facts of things and try to get a clear understanding of what I'm working with, which is probably why I love astrology so much. And so with any collective, crisis, or whenever there's big shifts or big events that happen on a global scale or within a big community, I like to look at the astrology and see if there are any correlations within the two. And usually there always is, right? And so I wanted to share with you guys what I found with the coronavirus and the cosmic climate. And so I would also encourage you guys to really take the time to look at the facts because, on top of everything else that we're dealing with, especially here in the United States with this election process, and dealing with Trump and how to combat that, as well as climate change, also classism, sexism, all of those things. It's something, I hear the coronavirus is basically something else that we have to deal with, and it's fucking annoying. So I would encourage you to really do your research. I did mine, and initially I kind of freaked out because I Googled coronavirus in New York or in, Syracuse, New York. And then I saw my actual county had 12 cases open in regard to the coronavirus. And I was like, and then I looked further into it, and basically there were 12 people that were, I guess they're from here, or they were going to school here and they were studying abroad in China. And so they came home, which makes sense. And they were all tested. They don't have any symptoms. They tested negative, but they are quarantined at this point for 14 days. And so going deeper and deeper and deeper definitely helped me get an understanding of yes, it can potentially be in my county, but looking at the details of everything, this is what's going on. And with the United States is really trying to do a really good job of keeping track of things. So whenever someone's traveling from out of the country, especially from China, Italy, Japan, I think those are the really aggressive or intense, severe places with this virus. They are screening, they're doing testings for everyone that comes in. So more than likely you're going to see that there have been some cases probably in your county, in your state. It is what it is. We cannot live in fear. And so that's why I decided to look deeply into what exactly this coronavirus is, and is there any astrology correlations as well, and how do we work with this energy. All right, so the big thing here is resistance. And so as you guys know, there is a lot of energy in Capricorn. There's a stellium currently. So we have the South Node, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. And a stellium is basically when there are 3 or more planets in a sign. And basically, so there's basically a lot of energy fixated on this Capricorn arena. And so as you know, with Capricorn, we're dealing with the structures of our consciousness. We're dealing with boundaries, physical limitations. We're also dealing with time and space, as well as just that those boundaries and those limitations. It's kind of that point of the physical reality or the physical limitations, and then once you get to Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, then you have those, it's past that boundary line. It's that's where we get into this whole subconscious influence. And so when I looked at the astrology of what's going on right now, I looked to those outer planets, which is Neptune. Primarily, I looked at Neptune because we are in Pisces season, and Capricorn is in a sextile relationship with Neptune, which I'll get to. But I looked at Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, and of course Saturn in this Capricorn energy here. And so first I want to focus on Capricorn, or just the idea really of resistance. And so whenever we tend to resist something, then that energy, it will continue to persist. The more you resist, the more it persists. And you will tend to have distortions come through, distortions of that energy. And so with Capricorn in itself, Capricorn can, indicate some form of suppression, some form of containment, especially in its distorted state. So if you're not working to evolve and move forward and to progress, then all of that energy is fixated in one area. Like you just keep pressing it down and pressing it down until it has to come out in some way. And so the way that does manifest is potentially usually within the physical body, right? And so it becomes a physical manifestation. And so you get disease, you get anxieties, you get just like emotional trauma coming through, and it's just all this distortion of reality. And so, like I said, we have the South Node in Capricorn right now, and it's slowly making its way into Sagittarius. But right now, with the South Node in itself, the representation of the South Node, we are dealing with karma, emotional attachments to comfort, your security zone. Also, it's your security, it's your comfort. It's like you want to hang on to this, and like usually there is that emotional attachment. And so with the North Node, we are being led to integrate more of that North Node to bring in the balance. And so we have the Capricorn, which is the structures of our consciousness, conditioning, any suppressed energies we're holding on to, those emotions, those experiences, those, belief systems, and we are resisting, we're holding on to that false comfort as well, and we're resisting the evolutionary process to really embody more of that divine feminine energy, more of that inner goddess within, a connection with your inner self, emotional self-reliance really is what we're evolving towards. And this is on a collective scale. And you can even look at it as, Capricorn tends to be like the father energy. And so it can, in a bigger sense, correlate to the patriarchy. And then we're looking at the Cancer energy, which is that polarity, and that North Node, which it correlates to the mother. It correlates to the nurturing energy, receptiveness, matriarchy, if you want to even look at it in that sense. And so it's like we're striving to integrate more of that feminine energy. We've been so focused on the masculine energy, just go, like fighting and just very extroverted, expressive energy, even though Capricorn's a feminine sign. So now we're coming back to the feminine. We're coming back to things being like circular energy instead of linear energy. Thank you, my soul sister, Dina V, for pointing that out. But yeah, and so that is kind of where we are in the collective. And so when you think about, we have the South Node is waxing semi-square to Neptune. And a semi-square is basically, it's that initial conflict. And so it is waxing. So we are at the point where, especially because the South Node is almost done its transit, it finishes transit in Capricorn, we're at the point where it's like that final release. But there's just a little bit more that we're holding on to, and it will intensify the closer we get to that break point, to that final release, which feels to me a big part of that is going to be when the South Node moves into Sagittarius, along with so many other shifts. Like Saturn's going to be moving into Aquarius at the end of March. And so we have Mars also in Capricorn. Mars is our willpower, our fighter spirit, our conscious desires, our vitality. And then we also have Jupiter, belief systems, intuition, expansion, spiritual truth, a path for spiritual truth to find that within and without. We have Pluto. Pluto is our, it can represent our emotional body, also emotional trauma, and where we feel disempowered. So there's those power dynamics, as well as like the karma and, you know, the trying to get to the bottom of things to eventually find that truth. And then we also have Saturn, which Saturn is also, you know, the boundaries, the limitations, the, you know, definitions of oneself and also of the group. And so we have all of that energy within its nature sextiling Pisces energy, or really Neptune. So all of those that I listed that are in Capricorn, they are sextiling Neptune right now. Like pretty much all three except Pluto. Pluto is the only one in a waxing sextile, and the rest of them are in a waning sextile. I'm sorry if you are not familiar with all of the jargon, but I'm going to try to explain it to the best of my ability. And so having a sextile relationship, so that is a harmonious relationship, and it is supportive of each other. And so Capricorn and Pisces are very supportive energy. So Capricorn, you know, in its natural state, wants to really align with purpose, wants to achieve, bring things into manifestation, and really to just, you know, be successful, be your own authority, find that mastery, and really give that back to the community. And with Pisces being supportive energy, Pisces is finding that deeper meaning, connecting to spirit, connecting to wholeness, truth, and love. And so when you combine both of those energies, you're getting the support of spirit and the support of like the goddess within, the goddess without, and looking at everything as this oneness energy. And it's going to support that purpose, that dharma, that path to serve and bring your authority to the collective to, you know, help, you know, your community be a better place. So it can actually also come through when the energy is not or when the energy is not in a good space. And so it's still going to be supportive. And so the way that Capricorn and Pisces energy will work, if it's not in a good place, if it's distorted, is that you're going to bring forth with, you know, with Neptune or Pisces energy, fears and illusions, you know, the existential void or crisis. And in regard to that Capricorn distortions of, or just bringing in, you know, mortality, like time is ticking, you know, like, what about the climate? What about, you know, poverty, you know, classism, sexism, like what time, death. And so everything is just, it seems like everything's kind of like happening at once. And then you throw in Uranus and Taurus, and then you have like time collapsing, everything happening at once, past, present, future. You're getting all of these downloads. And with those distortions, there's a disconnect to spirit, because you're in this reality of like, you know, fear and anxiety. And so that will, like I said, manifest as disease. And Neptune in itself correlates to the immune system. So you do have viral diseases that are in correlation to Neptune energy. And Neptune, as far as an outer planet, correlates to spiritual trauma. So then you have that as well, where it's like that trauma from other past, you know, from past lifetimes coming through. And Pisces really is, you know, it's within, in, you know, many dimensions, is very elusive energy. And so it's kind of like, I'm here, I'm not here, you know, what does it mean to die? Like, you know, just all of these things starting to come through. And it's like you're in this existential void, this darkness, because you can't get a hold of reality. And so I wanted to, so with that supportive energy, like I was saying, you have, it can go one way or the other. It could be very supportive in a loving, very progressive manner, or it can continually like close in on itself, especially with that Capricorn energy, because Capricorn is about the boundaries and the structures. And you do have that, that energy of decay or like contraction as well. And so Also, I did mention Uranus. Uranus being in Taurus. Taurus and Capricorn are trying to each other. And Taurus is sextile to Pisces. So with Uranus in Taurus, Uranus is bringing things to the picture too. And Uranus wants to liberate anything that is suppressed, anything that is contained and bound. It wants to help the soul evolve. So it wants to break and fracture that structure and liberate it. So if we are in a state of of resistance, if we are really trying to not look at reality and try to kind of like just suppress the emotions, suppress the energy, Uranus is going to come through and continually create situations that bring forth shock and trauma. It will want to fracture these outdated structures, these foundations that aren't serving us anymore, these old comfort zones. And so we also have Mercury retrograde in Aquarius right now, and Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, so that brings that into the picture. And so it's really asking us or guiding us to really step out of this whole situation, these circumstances, step out of the illusion, the anxiety, the fears, and really get a good picture on what's really going on, and that's why personally for me, I went online, and I hate Googling shit. And I Googled, coronavirus in my backyard, basically. What does that mean? What does that look like? What are the risks? Like at right now where we are in the United States, the risks are very low, depending on, if you're working in that environment, if you come in contact, but just in your everyday life, especially if you are a healthy person, and you're washing your hands, you're doing the basic things, your risk is low. A lot of these people that have come here to the States that have coronavirus, they were traveling overseas. Like I looked into Maryland, I looked into Denver, and I looked into New York, my area, upstate New York. And it was all these people were coming over they had just been traveling overseas. So keep that in mind. Okay. And so Uranus as far as a trine is that conscious awareness. So Uranus is bringing forth, what we don't want to face, what we keep suppressing. It's bringing that up. It's bringing that into our conscious awareness in order for us to really make some changes, creatively actualize our reality or our desires. What else was I going to say? Looking at my notes here. Yeah, and that was the thing as well. Like I said, time collapsing. And we know with Uranus energy, Aquarius energy, it's like you get blueprints all at once, past, present, future, all coming through. All of these downloads, that cosmic connection, utilize that. Step out of the anxiety, step out of the fear. And that sextile relationship with Pisces, it's, same thing. It's that supportive energy. So it's really helping us to, by breaking these outdated foundations, it's helping us to really get clear and get connected to spirit, our spirit within ourselves and our spirit without. So a way to really work through releasing a lot of this energy is to sit with your anxiety, sit with your fears, write that shit out, and go through every one and is this ultimately true? Maybe why am I feeling this way? How can I get past this? What can I do? It's okay, I do need to go to the grocery store. I do need to, be out in the world. I have to go to work or whatever the case may be. I can't hide. So how do I, alleviate this anxiety? Okay, I'm going to wash my hands. I'm going to sanitize wherever I am or whatever the case may be, whatever helps you feel safe and secure. Going back to that Taurus element. And so going through that and just going through all these physical limitations. And it doesn't have to just be with the coronavirus, but in general, these illusions, these fears, and looking at the polarity of these signs that we were just talking about. So the opposite, in order to really just bring or to alleviate a lot of fixated energy and distorted energy, you're going to want to bring in that opposite sign to balance that out. And so with Capricorn, we're going to want to bring in Cancer. Well, the North Node is in Cancer right now. We're already being guided by the universe to integrate that Cancer archetype. And so, you know, focusing on emotional self-reliance, you know, listening to your intuition, connect to your inner feminine energy, being receptive, being, you know, just having a deep connection with your inner self. You know, what do your emotions say about how you feel about yourself? Journaling on that. Then we have the polarity of Pisces. The opposite sign of Pisces is Virgo. Well, the full moon is in Virgo on Monday, so that's perfect. You know, so start to integrate the archetype of Virgo. So really, you know, stepping into reality. You know, what does this really look like for me? What does this really look like for my family, my community? You know, purification. Do that burning ritual. Burning rituals are so potent during full moons. Any release ritual for the full moon is perfect. You know, clean your home. Like, just get into that very high energetic vibe. And you know what? The higher your vibrational frequency is, that shit won't stick. Even if you did, you know, I'm not a scientist. I kind of am a scientist, but I'm not a doctor, so I can't be like, oh, if you come into contact with it and you have high vibrations, maybe you'll just get like a little cold. But that could be a way to like really that negative frequency, because these diseases, these viruses are low frequency, it's low frequency energy, so maybe that won't stick. You know, I'm just sharing my thoughts, my perspective, my opinions on things in my research. So I know some of you probably know the science better than I do, so, you know, I apologize if I'm just, you know, you don't agree with stuff I'm saying. It's totally fine, right? But you get the vibe, you get my intention behind what I'm saying. So then, talking about Aquarius, what is the polarity of Aquarius? It's Leo. The opposite sign is Leo. So connecting to that strong sense of self, having that confidence, feeling like you are empowered, connecting to that special sense of purpose, like, hey, I'm here to do something. You know, we're all going to die at some point. We all are going to, you know, like, if it's your time, it's your time in a sense. I cannot focus and drive myself crazy on these fears, because they just get bigger than themselves, especially Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Hello, like, that was really intense. So those are ways to really start to combat this energy. In Pisces, in its natural flow, we need to let go. We need to surrender. We need to connect to spirit, connect to our guides, ask for help. That way we can get the deeper meaning of what's really, really going on. We can step outside of all of the things and be in between worlds and just be like, oh, okay, this is this is that. Everything is one in a sense. I can't live in fear, right? So I did pull a few cards before I started recording, and I consulted Archangel Gabriel because I love connecting with him via his oracle deck when Mercury's retrograde, because he is the angel, the messenger angel, and blocks lifted. How perfect. So it says previous obstacles came from fear, and they are now lifted away. So this energy is already here for us to take advantage of, to work with this energy. This is telling me that you guys are going to totally do the work and step outside of the fear after watching this. So I'm so proud of you guys. So I also pulled from my Egyptian tarot deck, and we got the Hangman here, which is basically just guiding us to look at things from a different perspective. Take a minute, go within yourself, and see how you can look at things differently. Ask the universe to guide you into, you know, into clarity. Like, express that you are willing to look at things differently. You're willing to open yourself up to receiving. The Chariot, how perfect. This is associated with Cancer. This is Cancer's major arcana card. So this is guiding us to really embody that very pioneer energy, kind of leadership, taking charge. You know, there's duality in this image, and it's like being able to be in both worlds, like being able to have that strong self-reliance, you know. And then finally the Four of Pentacles, and these actually fell out the deck. These days I don't like pull anymore. I just let them, you know, speak to me. So this one here, the Four of Pentacles, this one just points to creating those solid foundations. What do you want your foundations to be? How can you create foundations that feel good, that feel strong? You know, when you think about the energy behind the number 4, like very stable, you know. So it's pointing us to these stable foundations and going to our resources. What do we have? What do we need to feel safe and secure? Venus in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus, you know. It's time to really start actualizing our values, what we need to really, you know, sustain ourselves, what we need to live a happy, fulfilled, meaningful life, and not, you know, be hiding in our houses and being scared and shit. Like, I know, I get it. It's really hard, and there's always fucking something, you know. So that was what I came across for the astrology and what's going on in the world today. If you I always, you know, am here to do readings. I have general astrology readings, I have past life readings, and Saturn return and solar return. So if you guys are interested in doing a reading, definitely message me, and there's a link below where you can book a reading. And please follow me on Instagram. I'm very active there. My handle is @Urania_universe. And I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good weekend.